Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Satashi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome to Sri Caitanya Charitamrita with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Thursday, February 27th, 2025 in New York. And today we're picking up with Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi-lila, chapter 12, text 74, as far as I know. Confirmed. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So our chapter is entitled The Expansions of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Pandit. We are almost at the break point between discussing the expansions of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Pandit. So text 74. Se acharyera kripara bhajan, anaya se paila se chaitanya charan. By the mercy of Advaita Acharya, the devotees who strictly followed the path of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attained the shelter of Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet without difficulty. Thank you, Praveen Krishna Prabhu, for posting the verses in the chat. And there are many verses tonight which have no purports. My inclination is that we can read them. And Maharaj, if you have any comments, please go right ahead and offer them. Achutera ye mata se mata sar, arayata mata sabahaila charakar. It should be concluded, therefore, that the path of Achyutananda is the essence of spiritual life. Those who did not follow this path simply scattered. And as I recall, Achyutananda was one of the good sons of Advaita Acharya, and this is who is being referred to here. Se Acharya Gane Mora Koti Namaskar Achyutananda Praya Chaitanya Jivana Dhyanhar. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances millions of times to Achyutananda's actual followers, whose life and soul was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eta Kahila Anacharya Goshaniragana Tina Skanda Shakar Kaila Sangshepa Ganan. Thus I have briefly described the three branches, Achyutananda, Krishna Mishra, and Gopal, of Sri Advaita Acharya's descendants. Shakha upashakha tara nahi kaganan, kichu matra kahi kari digdarashan. There are multifarious branches and sub-branches of Advaita Acharya. It is very difficult to enumerate them fully. I have simply given a glimpse of the whole trunk and its branches and sub-branches. Shri Gadadhar Pandita Shakate Mahutama Tanra Upashaka Kichu Kariye Ganan. After describing the branches and sub-branches of Advaita Acharya, I shall now attempt to describe some of the descendants of Sri Gadadhar Pandita, the most important among the branches. Shaka Shrestha Dhruvananda Sridhara Brahmachari Bhagavata Acharya Haridasa Brahmachari. The chief branches of Sri Gadadhara Pandit were 1. Sri Dhruvananda, 2. Sridhara Brahmachari, 3. Haridas Brahmachari, and 4. Raghunath Bhagavata Acharya. Purport. Text 152 of the Gaura Ganadesha Deepika describes Sri Dhruvananda Brahmachari as an incarnation of Lalita, and texts 194 and 199 describe Sridhar Brahmachari as the gopi known as Chandra Latika. Radhesha Prabhu, I see your name in our participants list, wondering if you may be available to read, or if it's simply your name I'm seeing in the participants list.
I'm actually in a doctor's office. It may not be the right setting. but I'm just listening. Hare Krishna.
Very good. Happy to see you. Hare Krishna. Ras Prabhu, would you be able to read a few verses starting with text 81?
Yes, Prabhu. Nanta Acharya Kavidata Mishranayana Gangamantri Mamu Tafur Kanta Bharana. Translation. The fifth branch was Ananta Acharya, the sixth Kavi Datta, the seventh Nayana Mishra, the eighth Ganga Mantri, the ninth Mamu Thakur, and the 10th Kanta Bharana. Purport. Texts 197 and 207 of the Gora Gunadesh Dipika describe Kavi Datta as the gopi named Kalakanti. Texts 196 and 207 describe Nayana Mishra as the gopi named Nitya Manjari, and texts 196 and 205 describe Ganga Mantri as the gopi named Chandrika. Mamu Thakur, whose real name was Jagannath Chakravarti, was the nephew of Sri Nilambara Chakravarti, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's grandfather. In Bengal, a maternal uncle is called Mama, and in East Bengal and Orissa, Mamu. Thus, Jagannath Chakravarti was known as Mama or Mamu Thakur. Mamu Thakur's residence was in the district of Faridpur, in the village known as Magdoba. After the demise of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, Mamu Thakur became the priest in charge of the temple known as Bhato Gopinath in Jagannath Puri. According to the opinion of some Vaishnavas, Mamu Thakur was formerly known as Sri Rupa Manjari. The followers of Mamu Thakur were Raghunath Goswami, Ramachandra, Radhavallabha, Krishna Jivana, Shamasundar, Santamani, Harinatha, Navina Chandra, Adi-lila, Dayamai, and Kunja Vihari. Kanta Bharana, whose original name was Sri Ananta Kataraja, was the gopi named Gopali in Krishna Lila.
Thank you, Prabhu. You can keep on reading if you like, or
Yeah.
Jai.
Ugarba Gosani Ara Bhagavata Dasa Edu Asi Kaila Vrindavane Vasa. Translation. The 11th branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Ugurba Goswami, and the 12th was Bhagavata Das. Both of them went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Purport. Ugurba Goswami, formerly known as Prema Manjari, was a great friend of Lokanath Goswami, who constructed the temple of Gokulananda, one of the 7 important temples of Vrindavan, namely those of Govinda, Gopinath, Madha Mohan, Radha Ramana, Shamasundar, Radha Damodar, and Gokulananda, which are authorized institutions of Gaudiya Vaishnavas.
Maybe I'll just make a short comment. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Prachayani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtati Deshtarni. Rugarba Goswami is one of the important devotees in Vrindavan at the time of the Goswamis. Indradumna Maharaj would undoubtedly have a lot of information about him. I've confessed to not having very much, but just to note that he's an important person. Also note how many devotees there are here who are noted in Caitanya Caritamrita. Although we don't we hear typically about just a handful. So many devotees were there to, among the followers of the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. I know one thing and one thing only about Bhugarbha Goswami. If it's the same Bhugarbha Goswami that I've did some research on for Krishna.com, as his name implies, he lived in a cave, or he was, in the Garbha of Bhu, surrounded by the earth. That's where he made his residence, and that's apparently how he got his name. I don't know from whom he received the name, but as you say, I'm sure Indra Maharaj would have a lot more to say. And thank you for reading, Ras Prabhu. Saraswati Mata, would you like to read some verses, starting with our...
Something in the chat, Prabhu.
Okay, please go ahead.
Actually, well, go ahead.
Okay. Saraswati Mataji writes, Pranams Param Puja Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. In Gujarati, the maternal uncle, Mama, is said to be a double mother, Ma, and thus have the double duties of a mother. I was raised for a bit under care of my Mama, who took his duty seriously. He is one of the key people in my life that helped me become Krishna conscious.
The Vaishnav calendar program has some information. There's not much mention of Sri Lokanath Goswami in Vaishnav literatures. There's not much mention either of Sri Bhugarbha Goswami, his very close friend. Following Mahaprabhu's order, they both came to live at Brajatam. Their hearts were inseparable. According to the Sadhana Dipika, he was Lokanath's paternal uncle. The Sakanirnayamrita adds the following comments. Goswami nam cha bhugarbham, bhugarbhotam, suvishrutam, sada mahashayam bande, Krishna prema pradam prabhum, Srila Govinda devasya seva sukha, vilasinam, dayalum premadam swachcham, nityamananda vigraham. I offer my reverence to the illustrious Bhugarbha Prabhu, said to have been born from the bowels of the earth. He bestows love of Krishna. He takes pleasure in the service of Govinda Dev. He's compassionate, he's simple, and always joyful. I'm just seeing some okay, that's sort of enough. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Text 82. Bhugarbha Gosai Yara Bhagavata Dasa Yedui Asi Kele Vrindavana Vasa. Translation. The 11th branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Bhugarbha Gosai, and the 12th was Bhagavata Das. Both of them went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Purport. Bhugarbha Gosai, formerly
Are
known as...
we duplicating ourselves here? You read that?
I'm not sure. The chat only has us going up to 81, so...
Okay.
Is it text 83 that we're on? Sorry, I lost my place as well. Oh, we read 82. All right, sorry. Vaninatha brahmachari bada mahasya vallabha chaitanya dasa Krishna prema maya. Translation. The 13th branch was Vaninath Brahmachari and the 14th was Vallabha Chaitanya Das. Both of these great personalities were always filled with love of Krishna. Purport. Sri Vaninatha Brahmachari is described in the 10th chapter, verse 114 of the Adi-lila. A disciple of Vallabha Caitanya named Nalini Mohana Goswami established a temple of Madan Gopal in Navadvip. Hare Krishna.
You're certainly welcome to read some more, Mata, if you want to.
Oh, all right. Text 84. Srinatha Chakravarti Ara Uddhava Dasa Jita Mitra Kasta Katha Jagannatha Dasa. Translation. The 15th branch was Srinath Chakravarti. The 16th Uddhava, the 17th Jita Mitra, and the 18th Jagannath Das. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, the Sakha Nirnaya, verse 13, mentions Srinath Chakravarti as a reservoir of all good qualities and an expert in the service of Lord Krishna. Similarly, verse 35 mentions Uddhava Das as being greatly qualified in distributing love of Godhead to everyone. The Gora Ganda Dishika Dipika 202 mentions Jita Mitra as the gopi named Sham Manjari. Jita Mitra wrote a book entitled Krishna Mayurya. Jagannath Das was a resident of Vikarmapura near Dhaka. His birthplace was the village known as Kastakata or Kathadia. His descendants now reside in villages known as Adi-lila, Kamparapada, and Pakkapada. He established a temple of Yashomadhava. The worshippers in this temple are the Goswamis or Adiyal. As one of the 64 Sakhis, he was formerly an assistant of Chitra Devi Gopi named Tilakini. The following is a list of his descendants: Raman Narsingha, Rama Gopala, Ramachandra, Sanatana, Mukta Rama, Gopinath, Golok, Hari Mohana, Shiromani, Rakhalarja Madhava, and Lakshmikanta. The Sakha Nirnaya mentions that Jagannath Das preached the Hare Krishna movement in the district or state of Tripura. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for reading. Hare Krishna. Madhupati Prabhu, if you're available and able to read, that would be great.
The Srinath Chakravarti tips mentioned here, I assume is different from the Srinath Chakravarti who was the teacher of Kavi Karnapur, because that Srinath Chakravarti is generally considered a follower of Advaita Acharya. So there may be two different Srinaths. I don't really know. And that's it. And I'll knock out my audio here.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले गुरुदास जयद्वैता स्वामी के नाम में टेक्स्ट 85 श्री हरि आचार्य सादी पुरिया गोपाल कृष्णदास ब्रह्मचारी पुष्प गोपाल. The 19th branch was Sri Hari Acharya. The 20th Sadi Puriya Gopal. The 21st Krishnadas Brahmachari. And the 22nd Pushpa Gopal. The Gaur Ganodesha Deepika 196 and 207 mentions that Hari Acharya was formerly the gopi named Kalakshi. Sadipuriya Gopal is celebrated as a preacher of the Hare Krishna movement in Vikramapur, in East Bengal, now Bangladesh. Krishnadas Brahmachari was formerly among the group of Sakhis known as the Ashtasakhis. His name was Indulekha. Krishnadas Brahmachari lived in Vrindavan. There is a tomb in the Radha Damodar temple known as Krishnadas's tomb. Some say that this is the tomb of Krishnadas Brahmachari, and others say it is that of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. In either case, we offer our respects because both of them were expert in distributing love of Godhead to the fallen souls of this age. The Sakar Ninaya mentions that Pushpa Gopal was formerly known as Shwanagramaka. Krishnadas Brahmachari. As far as the Samadhi in Radha Damodar. You know, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also has a Samadhi in Radha Kund.
Seems like there's a few samadhis.
Yeah. Should I continue?
Yeah, Prabhu, please, if you'd like to continue, go ahead unless Maharaj has something more to
Sri
say.
Harsha Raghu Mishra, Pandita Lakshminath, Bangavati Chaitanya Dasa, Sri Raghunath. The 23rd branch was Sri Harsha, the 24th Raghu Mishra, the 25th Lakshminath Pandita, the 26th Bangavati Chaitanya Das, and the 27th Raghunath. Raghu Mishra is described in the Gaur Ganodesha Deepika 195 and 201 as Karpura Manjari. Similarly, Lakshminath Pandita is mentioned as Rasun Madha and Bangavati Chaitanya Das is mentioned as Kali. The Sakha Ninaya states that Bangavati Chaitanya Das was always seen with eyes full of tears. He also had a branch of descendants. Their names were Mathura Prasad, Rukmini Kanta, Jivana Krishna, Jugala Kishore, Ratana Krishna, Radha Madhav, Ushamani, Vaikuntanath, and Lala Mohana or Lala Mohana Saha Sankanidhi. Lala Mohan was a great merchant in the city of Dhaka. The Gaur Ganodesha Deepika 194 and 200 mentions that Jagannath was formerly Varangada. Guru Maharaj, any comments? Amoga Pandita Hasti Gopal. Amoga Pandita Hasti Gopal Chaitanya Vallabha Yadu Ganguli Ara Mangala Vaishnava. The 28th branch was Amoga Pandita, the 29th Hasti Gopal, the 30th Chaitanya Vallabh, the 31st Jadu Ganguli, and the 32nd Mangala Vaishnava. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Sri Mangala Vaishnava was a resident of the village Titakana in the district of Murshidabad. His forefathers were Shaktas who worshipped the goddess Kriteshwari. It is said that Mangala Vaishnava, formerly a staunch brahmachari, left home and later married the daughter of his disciple Prananath Adhikari in the village of Maya Nadala. The descendants of this family are known as the Thakuras of Kandada, which is a village in the district of Burdwan near Katwa. Scattered descendants of Mangala Vaishnava, 36 families altogether still live there. Among the celebrated disciples of Mangal Thakur are Prananath Adhikari, Purushottam Chakravarti of the village of Kandada, and Nashima Prasada Mitra, whose family members are well-known Mridanga players. Sudha Krishna Mitra and Nikunja Vihari Mitra are both especially famous Mridanga players. In the family of Purushottam Chakravarti, there are famous persons like Kunja Vihari Chakravarti and Radha Vallabh Chakravarti, who now live in the district of Birbhum. They professionally recite songs from Chaitanya Mangal. It is said that when Mangal Thakur was constructing a road from Bengal to Jagannath Puri, he found a deity of Radha Vallabh while digging a lake. At that time, he was living in the locality of Kandada, in the village named Ranipur. The Saligram Shila personally worshipped by Mangal Thakur still exists in the village of Kandada. A temple has been constructed there for the worship of Vrindavan Chandra. Mangal Thakur had 3 sons, Radhika Prasad, Gopi Ramana, and Shyama Kishore. The descendants of these 3 sons are still living.
So it seems that at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers, there were notable. Oh, yeah. It seems that at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's followers, there were notable Mridanga players. Also, it seems that the phenomenon of leaving the brahmacharya ashram, of having staunch brahmacharis leave the brahmacharya ashram for getting married, is not recent in origin. It's permitted. Staunch brahmacharis may, if they wish, later marry. Hare Krishna.
If I could just add one thing to that, Maharaj, it's permitted, as you say, but as we see here, and even in the present day, it's still newsworthy.
Yes.
He's not a brahmachari anymore.
No.
We have a hand up. We have things in the chat. There's all kind of stuff going on. Priti Purnamadavi Devi, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Maharaj, in the previous verses, it is mentioned, for example, about Krishnadas Brahmachari, that he was formerly among the group of Sakhis known as Ashta Sakhis. Similar way, in text 86 about Raghunath, he was formerly Varangada. So I was wondering of this word formerly, because sometimes it is mentioned they are in this role at present in the spiritual world as well. But here, is there any specific significance of
Formerly,
the word formerly?
I take formerly to mean, am I muted still? Can I be heard? I have too many buttons.
Hear you, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. I take formerly to mean in Krishna's Lila, which is, of course, eternal, but also historically earlier than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila. I think that's the intended meaning of formerly. I can't think of another. He wouldn't have been that gopi and then left the post and turned to something else. So formerly means earlier in history, as well as
Thank you, Maharaj. Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So, Guru Maharaj, we see the descendants of Gadadhar Pandit, of many of these formerly gopis or manjaris, could it be because Gadadhar Pandit itself is Srimati Radharani's?
Well, there's not a connection made explicit in the text, because there's lots of people who are identified as being in relationships like that who are not explicitly connected to Gadadhar Pandit. But yes, we find, for example, in Nityananda Prabhu's associates, that they're mostly Gopals. They're one of 12 Gopals. They're this and that. And here in Gadadhar Pandit's followers, we're hearing about Madhurya. But not exclusively for Gadadhar Pandit. There. Yes.
Again, we want to go with the comments in the chat.
Saraswati Mataji writes, I heard that Vallabhacharya of the Pushti Marg was initiated by Gadadhar Pandit. Is that correct?
Let's see, where are we? Yes, that's what we've heard. Yes, in fact, it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I would suspect it's probably disputed in Pushti Marg, but that's how it's presented here.
In Krishna Prabhu writes, one can still visit the famous Kiriteshvari Shakti Pith in Murshidabad today. Saraswati Mataji writes, stated here that Mangala Vaishnav married the daughter of his disciple. I thought the disciple is a child of Guru, so his daughter would be like granddaughter.
Yeah, as Kendra Prabhu mentioned, it's newsworthy. But sometimes these things go on in Krishna's family. Who else? In the line of Krishna and Rukmini, there's a close marriage also. I've forgotten the details. But sometimes these things are there. Hare Krishna.
Murari Gupta Prabhu writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, there were so many great and stalwart devotees preaching enthusiastically, but by the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, even the birthplace of Mahaprabhu was lost. What is the reason for such a decline?
That's mentioned in the discussion of the sons of Advaita Swami. Some followed, some didn't. And when we don't, then we introduce heretical ideas, or just things get lost. So such an important responsibility lies with the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or the followers of the spiritual master, to preserve what they've received. Otherwise, it becomes adulterated by extraneous foreign ideas, and yoga nashta parantapa, everything gets lost.
Murari Gupta Prabhu writes, thank you, Maharaj. And Praveen Krishna Prabhu writes, even the disciple of Shamananda Prabhu offered him his daughter.
So as we go a couple generations down, it seems more acceptable. Marrying one's disciple is not very much appreciated. Arjun turned down the offer of Uttara on the grounds that she'd been his disciple while he was a dance teacher. So it's not considered very good. But it seems that, all right, once it's a couple generations down, we'll go with it. But again, it's unusual. but that they're mentioned here is in the line of great devotees, so we're not going to find fault.
Unless there are more comments, we can continue reading. I was going to see whether Priti Purnamadavi Devi would like to pick up with text 88, I believe we're on.
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 88. Chakravarti Shivananda Sada Vrajavasi Mahashakha Madhe Deno Sutrena Vishwasi. Translation. Shivanand Chakravarti, the 33rd branch who always lived in Vrindavan with firm conviction, is considered an important branch of Gadadhar Pandit. Purport. The Gaur Ganalesh Deepika 183 mentions that Shivanand Chakravarti was formerly Lavang Manjari. The Shakha Nirnay written by Yadunandan Das also names other branches of Gadadhar Pandit as follows. First, Madhvacharya, second, Gopal Das, third, Hridayananda, fourth, Vallabh Bhatt. The Vallabh Sampradaya or Pushti Marg Sampradaya is very famous. Fifth, Madhu Pandit. This famous devotee lived near Khadadaha in the village known as Shani Bona Grama, about 2 miles east of Khadadaha station, and constructed the temple of Gopinathji in Vrindavan. Sixth, Achyutananda. Seventh, Chandrasekhar. Eighth, Vakreshwar Pandit. Ninth, Damodar. 10th, Bhagwan Acharya. 11th, Anant Acharya Varya. 12th, Krishnadas. 13th, Parmanand Bhattacharya. 14th, Bhavanand Goswami. 15th, Chaitanya Das. 16th, Loknath Bhatta. This devotee who lived in the village of Tal Khadi in the district of Yashohar, Jessore, and constructed the temple of Radha Vinod, was the spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur and a great friend of Bhugarbh Goswami. 17th, Govind Acharya. 18th, Akrura Thakur. 19th, Sanket Acharya. 20th, Pratap Paditya. 21st, Kamlakant Acharya. 22nd, Yadav Acharya. And 23rd, Narayan Padihari, a resident of Jagannath Puri. Text 89. Eita Sankshipte Kahila Panditer Gana Echayara Shakha Upa Shakara Ganana. Thus, I have briefly described the branches and sub-branches of Gadadhar Pandit. There are still many more that I have not mentioned here. Text 90. Panditere Gana Sabha Bhagavata Dhanya Prana Vallabha Sabara Shri Krishna Chaitanya. All the followers of Gadadhar Pandit are considered great devotees because they have Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. Text 91. Etena skandera kelo shakara ganana yana sabasmarane bhavabandha vimochana. Translation. Simply by remembering the names of all these branches and sub-branches of the 3 trunks I have described, Nityanand, Advait, and Gadadhar, one attains freedom from the entanglement of material existence. Text 92. Yan sabha smarane paye chaitanya charana, yan sabha smarane haye vanchita purana. Translation. Simply by remembering the names of all these Vaishnavas, one can attain the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, simply by remembering their holy names, one achieves the fulfillment of all desires.
Well, that's significant. We're reading all these names and saying, well, I don't recognize this person. I don't know who that person is. But Kaviraj Goswami says that's all right. Just by hearing their names, remembering their names, one attains the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.
Text 93.
We have some
I-
comments in the chat. Saraswati Mataji writes, Arjuna refused any association with Urvashi, the Apsara, because she had previously an intimate relationship with one of his forefathers, was thus like his mother. She, in anger, cursed him to be a eunuch. Maharaj, you're muted.
Yes, these things are there. If these things were to happen today, they would call a GBC meeting and it would be referred to a committee. And who knows what would happen after that. I'd better not say more. Hare Krishna.
Saraswati Mataji writes, stated that Sanatan Goswami is also Bhavanga Manjari.
You'll find many times that different devotees are assigned the same identity. I don't really have much to say about that. Sometimes it may be different opinions. That's also mentioned in the text that according to some, this person is this, according to others, is that. Then you get partial incarnations and you get all sorts of interesting things going on. I don't have more to say. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I have a question, Maharaj. How do we make sense of the different opinions?
Well, there are different angles of vision of experts. Just in any science, there may be different expert opinions about something, and they're taken seriously. Yeah, they're taken seriously. Sometimes they represent, according to the evidence, we can take it this way, or looking at the evidence a different way, we can take it that way. We tend not to get very, what's the word? We don't fight wars over these things. It's mentioned, Pai Parshad has discussed this at some length, that it's noted that there are many places where different acharyas have different opinions, and we respect all the opinions of the different acharyas. We may pick up one as being preferred, as being the one we wish to accept, but we don't demean the others. Just, all right, I'm following this, but others may follow a different authority. I'm reminded that there are different editions of Shakespeare. Harvard has their Shakespeare. Oxford, Yale has their Shakespeare. And they're done by different editors, taking different criteria for and Shakespeare gets down to the letter. Is it this letter or is it that letter? All these things are very important in scholarship. So Yale has their version, Harvard has their version, but no one will say, oh, Harvard, they're garbage, or Yale is garbage. They're just different ways in which expert editors have approached the text. Finally, there's no manuscript for Shakespeare's plays. We don't have any extant manuscripts. We go by the various published versions, none of which are in Shakespeare's hand. So we don't really know, but expert editors will give us their best understanding. And then we go with this version or that version. You can reject all the versions, but then there's no Shakespeare. There's nothing to read. So and whichever one we accept, we'll get something that we can appreciate. Hare Krishna.
Saraswati Mataji writes, devotees can expand into many different forms with different identities in relationship with Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Yes. Is that a question mark? The answer is yes.
Question mark.
Even we find that when Krishna was traveling on tour with some sages, he received 2 invitations, one from a Brahmin, Shrutadev, and another from a great king, Bahulashva. And because they were great devotees, Krishna simply accepted both invitations. And the sages and expanded himself into 2 different forms to be in both places at once. And the sages who accompanied Krishna did the same thing. They expanded into 2 forms, and both of them, and all of them were present in both of the places. So these things are possible by the grace of Krishna.
Praveen Krishna Prabhu writes, so today's gurus shouldn't marry or should already be married?
Nobody should marry. Guru or not guru. I'm against the whole thing.
Saraswati Mataji writes, I meant to expand question that only followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna can expand into many forms to serve them.
Well, there's examples. Who is that? Muni Sobhari Muni. He expanded into several forms to marry the daughter of one king. So it's not unknown that expanding oneself can go on, but it's limited. I think 7 forms or 9 forms, that's the maximum that a yogi can do. But Krishna can expand in unlimited forms. And by the grace of Krishna, devotees can also expand. Whether devotees of other incarnations can also expand, I see no reason why not. It's the same Krishna, so such things are possible. There may be some examples, although nothing springs to mind right away.
Yeah, Lakshman.
Yeah, there you go. Of course, Lakshman's Vishnu Tattva.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, Balaram appears as Lakshman and so on. But among the devotees, that may also be possible. By the grace of Vishnu, everything's possible.
All right, Krishna Maharaj, I have a question. Should we consider the mechanics of how that works, or is that sort of unnecessary?
Mechanical.
I was just sort of thinking of maybe conceptually, one person, operating 2 bodies. It's,
Yeah, we'll get, I think, stunned by stupefied by the mechanics. It's like trying to figure out how Vishnu could have 8 arms or 16 arms or 1,000 arms. Work out the mechanics. You'll spend more lifetimes than there are arms trying to figure it out. So these things are just to be. We may note that there's expansions, that there may be a sentiment, mood or feeling that's carried across in different appearances, but to figure out the mechanics and I don't think so.
Rijipurna Madhavi Mataji writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, who is the author of Gonadesh Dipika and our devotees recommended to read?
Author is Kavi Karnapur, who's an authorized Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya. And he's quoted, and the book is quoted throughout Chaitanya Charitamrita. No harm in reading, I suppose, although I don't know what one will find, but there's no, as far as I know, no reason not to read it, except that there are other literature that might take precedence.
Priti Purna Madhavi Mataji writes, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also expand.
Yeah.
Haridas Thakur.
Hmm?
Haridas Thakur.
Haridas Thakur. Yeah. And of course, Lord 11 Rudras and so on.
Shankaracharya.
Hmm?
Shankaracharya.
Shankaracharya. So yeah.
Hanuman.
Hanuman. Yeah, appearing as Madhvacharya. There's a lot of expanding that goes on in the family.
Murari Gupta Peru writes, I've read that Arjuna expands into multiple universes to be with Krishna.
Yeah, because Krishna's pastimes are going on. So as soon as the 4th chapter is finished in one universe, the 5th chapter is starting, but the 6th chapter is already going on in another universe, and 3rd chapter is about to begin. And so in each place, Krishna's there, Arjuna's there. Go figure the mechanics of that, but it's compared to the sun moving across the globe so that it's always noon somewhere. And we're at the end of our time.
So we are, and next time we'll start with text 93, almost at the very end of the chapter. And for our kirtan leader tonight, I was going to see, well, Radhesha Prabhu's in the doctor's office. That would be an interesting kirtan. But let's see.
I'm no longer in the... Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah, initially your audio was breaking up a little bit, but if you want to give it a shot, we'd love to hear you chanting down the highway, as long as you're got both hands and your eyes fixed on the road, I suppose.
Well, it seems as though maybe my connection isn't so good, so I don't want to spoil the kirtan with choppy words. So let me defer to someone with a better connection. But it was very nice hearing the class. Thank you all so much.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Krishna Konte Prabhu, could you lead us in kirtan? I expect your connection will be good.
Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur, Haribo, Nitai Gaur, Premanande, Hari Haribo, Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa, Pariraja Acharya Stutar, Santa Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Jayadvaita Swami Ki Jai, Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa, Pariraja Acharya Stutar, Santa Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Ho Sri Krishna, Chaitanya Prabhu Nityanand, Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur, Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Sri Guru and Gauranga Sri Prabhu Ki Jai, Jayadvaita Swami Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Krishna Kante Prabhu. Thank you everyone for being here for Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Especially thank you, Maharaj. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Ki Jai.
Muveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Yay. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.